After the death and resurrection of Yahshua, the faith of Egypt was left to hold its own. And from this, the Holy Spirit of Lord King Gabriel began to fill the Egyptian Queen Nefertiti's sleeping quarters as Yahshua. Yet he never appeared within physical form, but instead within the Ka Amen-Ra, with a sincere sense of decency and obligation to her. Needless to say, she was both of the spirit as well as familiar with it, and how it was known to consume us, and yet the worlds away had known they had done something to him, based on the illumination of the world, based on the departing of the Holy Spirit from within Yahshua. And she acquired of his former temple, and where he had been buried at, and he explained to her that he had been improperly buried and laid to rest in Jerusalem. However, being as it may, King Herod never lived to bear more children, and for this his daughter Queen Nefertiti came into power upon his death, and it was her who sent Egyptian soldiers out and scout of Jerusalem to find out about Yahshua. Thus so upon arrival they came across a tomb with Roman Etruscans and their captain standing before it, as this was the tomb which held the very temple of whom there didn't belong, and ordered them, open this tomb back up. This man belongs in a sarcophagus. And yet Roman soldiers were the first to kill over and laugh at them. But faced with the might of the Egyptian Hebrew army, in defiance of the orders of the queen, they quickly pried the tomb back open, breaking its screws and bolts and allowing them to peacefully obtain Yahshua's remains. Being as it may, he was then brought back within the walls of the kingdom of Egypt and taken to our ceremonial burial room, where he was then presented before the queen within a gruesome scene where he was then washed and thoroughly clean, while the queen herself struggled to understand the hands of her own people who were willing to harm and portray someone as holy as he to come. Needless to say, it was nothing between the Holy Spirit and Queen Nefertiti to have Julius Caesar killed for starting war with Egypt all over, as he had become a target for the worlds away, as we, the Holy Spirit, had willed his own men under the Roman royal guard, accompanied by the son of Pontius Pilate, to have him escorted into the Roman courtyard, where he was then executed before the Romans, while the son of Pontius Pilate took blade across his throat with sword, while the queen herself was many a first to send fleet against the Romans, as she was more than just a queen, but also a warrior, a true leader who killed many Romans with her own hands, as well as crushed many of Caesar's defenses and lines in battle, in honor and true definition of a war queen. And for this the Egyptians bestowed the highest honors and glory of the land upon her as well, in naming her king as King Tutankhamun. Needless to say, despite her honor and glory, Queen Tutankhamun was not one to behoove herself or boast on the battlefield, but instead she was one to esteem her men in battle at their side as king. Nor was she ever known for another man other than Yahshua within his holiness. Yet as king, she was known to lead charge in battle, as well as take lead on scouting campaigns, when she and her scouting party fell under ambush by the Roman guards army, which was a tactic commonly used by the Romans against the Egyptians, and she advanced forward in battle alongside her men, losing her footing upon her chariot, thus so falling completely off such, breaking her leg and nose, as well as suffering from major head trauma, while her own soldiers fought to secure her and her chariot before doing so, and falling back to administer what aid they could to our fallen king. For this we know she did not survive her injuries and was buried as King Tutankhamun, and this is why Queen Nefertiti's mummy has never been discovered otherwise. And yet within the Ka Amen-Ra, we know that her spirit is eternal and lives on to this very day, as does so many others in testament of the faith of Amen-Ra. For this, we should always love and honor our great Queen Nefertiti as King Tutankhamun. And she was buried with the greatest and highest honors of the ancient Egyptian Hebrew Israelites, as in the land of queens and kings she has no equal. For within her burial chamber we laid a metallic metal from the Mediterranean Sea, which her and her soldiers were first to discover, not Romans as depicted today, whose armor was first made out of copper. And yet for herself, everything we made of her was made of the purest gold, including her gold house shoes, as she taught her people to honor the son as the father, the same as King Akhenaten. Yet after her death, the Arab and pagan Arab wars began to take a downward turn, as we began to fight both pagan Arab Romans and Etruscans. And many of our stones were crushed or destroyed, and our tombs and pyramids ramshacked by looters, and so Egyptians developed the arches to defend such, as well as bury the head, that of which we could in places guarded by Egyptians, while Roman soldiers and their officers desolated the sands and desert in search of Ardennes and hidden treasures as Egyptian Hebrew Israelites. Although it was never our intention to take the Romans to war, the crucifixion of Yeshua was used to discredit us in faith in honor of the Roman faith. Yet when we rose again within the third day spiritually, our faith within the Spirit proved true within itself as cause for war, being that Yeshua's temple never took breath again, opposed to the Romans' faith in the living Trinity. And so after the death of both King Akhenaten and Tutankhamun, the Holy Spirit of Amun-Ra willed Al-Obaida, Prophet Muhammad, to restore the honor of the Hebrew Israelites in honor of our true religion and deen, which eventually led to peace.